What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back, and today we are doing a new little series here before March Madness and the conference tournament start. We are going to be doing a standings breakdown and possible bid stealers for March Madness. But before we get into that, we want you to subscribe to our channel, get us to 100 subscribers. We'll be doing a giveaway then, and make sure you hit that like button. But Ty, let's start here with the American Athletic Conference.
Yeah, so bid stealers basically the concept here. A team that wasn't going to get in wins the conference tournament. So then, let's say if it was a one bid league, you end up getting two teams in rather than one team, something like that. So this conference, Memphis, SMU, UCF, all kind of bubble teams who I think right now are all out. So if any of those teams win the conference tournament, then you get an extra team in. And we're Michigan fans. Michigan is right on the bubble. So if you're a team like Michigan, you don't want this to happen. You would want Houston to win this conference. This conference, I think SMU and Memphis, if they make a run to the championship and lose to Houston, I think they would get in. But UCF, I think, would have to win the tournament to get in.
Yeah, I agree. And then, especially, SMU does play Houston this weekend, and it could be a different story the next time we make this video as well. But we'll move here to the A10, and pretty much Davidson is already locked into the tournament. It's been, pretty obvious. They've been a really good team this year, ranked even in the AP poll. And after that, this conference is not looking like they're getting another bid in, unless, one of these teams can upset Davidson in the tournament and get in. And I think the best shot to do that would be the St. Louis Billikens or the St. Bonaventure Bonnies. The Bonnies were projected, top 25 at the beginning of the year. Like supposedly a really good team, and they've kind of fallen off a little bit, but they have won 6 in a row, getting their footing and, definitely poised for an A10 conference tournament run. And you can say the same about the VCU Rams too, winning 5 in a row. But I think this conference is definitely going to be a tournament you're going to want to watch for sure, just with all these competitive teams, vying to get into the tournament.
All right, now we go to the ACC, which is a huge bubble conference, really. You have about 7 teams that are not locks for the tournament, but are most likely going to get in, or, either that or they're right on the bubble or the outside, somewhere in there. So Duke is the only lock right now in the ACC. Notre Dame and Wake Forest should get in, barring a collapse. And then you have Miami and North Carolina, who are on the right side of the bubble. And then Virginia Tech, you could even throw Syracuse in there as teams that are, pretty far outside, but still have an outside chance to get in as an at-large. But this conference tournament, these like Power 5 conference tournaments, it's not as much about who wins it. It's more about what bubble teams are going to make a run to get themselves into the tournament. But any of those 8 teams I just listed there at the top could win the tournament. You could even throw Florida State in there as teams that could win this conference tournament. So this conference is going to be really interesting.
Moving to the Big 12 here, I think you can make the case that those 4 teams in the top of the standings are automatically in. And then after that, I think you can make a case that every other team could make the tournament as well. You have West Virginia Mountaineers at 3-11, and they're 14-13. But this is a conference that just beats up on each other, and definitely could make a run. Oklahoma, we saw them in the first 4 out just a week ago, and they're 4-11 in conference, and sitting at 500 right now. And they obviously could make a run too, as we've seen. But I think the team that is poised to make a run that would help, obviously, their chances would be the Iowa State Cyclones. Beginning of the year, what were they, like 12-1 or something? And then really kind of fell off going into conference play. But they are sitting at 18-9 right now on a 2-game win streak, and pull off an AP win in the tournament, an upset in the tournament pretty much solidifies your spot into March Madness.
All right, we got the Big East, who's having a historic year. I think right now they have 7 bids currently. I'm assuming Creighton is still in, so that would give them 7 teams in the tournament. The Big East Conference tournament is going to be a lot of fun. I would say Villanova's the favorite, but obviously they just lost to UConn. Providence is having a great season, so it could go a lot of different ways. Marquette, I think, could definitely run the table in that tournament. So you never know. Don't sleep on St. John's. They're not quite out of it yet. They could make a run in the Big East tournament. I still think they have some pieces that they're starting to put together. Georgetown, obviously, not really sure what's going on there. Patrick Ewing most likely getting fired, 16-game losing streak. But outside of them, all of these teams are competitive. This is going to be one of the best conference tournaments this year. I look for Villanova to win it, but which teams are going to solidify their resume, especially Creighton. They might need a win or two.
And moving to the Big Ten, you were talking about it earlier, Michigan being on the bubble currently. They're sitting in the middle of the conference, and the team below them, Indiana, they're also in right now. And obviously, everyone else above is either on the bubble or in as of right now. And, Michigan State, we've seen lost 3 in a row here. If they continue that slide, they could easily end up right in the bubble conversation, which is really crazy if you think, because at the beginning of February, they were like a 3 seed. And they're falling dramatically right now. But Iowa is a surprise team to look out for in March Madness as well, and in the tournament, because they have been playing some really good basketball right now. Keegan Murray has been carrying that team. And, we saw last night them just absolutely throttle Michigan State. And, Rutgers is another team that we can talk about here after winning 4 in a row against AP ranked teams, pretty much threw their hat in the ring. In the AP poll as well. But definitely, I would say the Big Ten and the Big East are the 2 tournaments that are most up in the air as of right now. Because, Michigan, we saw they could easily make a run if they get the right schedule. They could easily make a run to at least the last 4 and boost that resume. And you can say the same about almost all these teams. But definitely, I would go with Purdue and Illinois as the favorites to win this tournament. But after that, everyone still has an outside shot, just depending on matchups.
All right, we can talk about the Missouri Valley. Not a great conference by any means, but we're just going to talk about it because they have a potential to be a 2-bid league. Really, the only way this happens is if Loyola wins out all the way to the conference tournament championship and they lose. I would say Northern Iowa and Drake are the biggest threats there, but that's just something to look out for. Let's see, right now, last 4 in, you had San Diego State last night as the last team in. So they would get bumped out if that were to happen. That's an extra bid that gets stolen from them. So that's just something to look out for. Other than that, if Loyola doesn't win it, whoever does will be like a 14 seed. So there's not much going on outside of them.
A very interesting conference this year in the Mountain West. And Boise State, Wyoming, Colorado State, and you just said San Diego State are all kind of on the fringe, which is kind of hard to believe. You have 2 4-loss teams there, and then a 6-loss team and a 7-loss team, and they're all on the fringe in a very competitive conference this year. And you could even make the case that Utah State, Fresno State, UNLV could also come out on top in the conference championship. But definitely another tournament if you like, the mid-tier conferences. This is definitely a conference tournament to watch and look out for as you go into March Madness, because, we've been talking about Wyoming, Colorado State, Boise State consistently in our rankings video, picks videos, and bracketology, just kind of always being around the 9, 10, 11 seeds and just kind of scraping in the tournament. But, if something were to happen where a team that isn't in right now does steal a bid, that could easily knock out one of these teams even as well, depending on when they depart from the tournament. I think, the best shot would be San Diego State, UNLV, or Fresno State to really come out on top in this tournament and steal a bid.
All right, same as the Missouri Valley here, similar name too, and it works out the same. Murray State runs the conference, but this is even more than the Missouri Valley because Murray State's basically a lock to get into the tournament. So if they were to lose to Belmont, I don't see anyone else doing it. If Belmont beats them in the conference tournament, then you're going to get 2 bids out of this league when you would have had 1. So another league to watch for if you're a fan of a bubble team, because it could really just basically eliminate a team that would have got in if Murray State would have won. So it basically just comes down to that championship game in this conference tournament, assuming Murray State gets there. Other than that, Murray State's been just running this conference. They're 16-0. So props to them. Belmont's still a good team, though, so they definitely could beat them.
And moving to the Pac-12, we have obviously Arizona at 1, and they're an instant lock, probably for a 1 seed. USC, UCLA, they're kind of sitting around the 4 or 5 range. But then after that, you have Oregon, and Colorado that are two teams that are kind of, bubble worthy, kind of squeaking in or just out. If Oregon can pull off a big win against one of those top three, same with Colorado, you got to say they're almost in the tournament at this point because those three teams have just absolutely ran the Pac-12. No really question is you see Arizona has a 3-game lead already on USC and UCLA. And then after that, they also have a 2-game lead on fourth place. But after that, it gets very competitive. They're all kind of close, right around the same records. I don't know. This is definitely a very interesting conference. It definitely won't be the most entertaining, but don't be too surprised if Oregon or Colorado rallies off a few wins to bolster their resume and, could make it as a bubble team. I'm not saying they're going to win it, the conference tournament, but they definitely could be stealing some bids depending on the matchups they get in the conference tournament.
All right, the SEC, this is going to be a really good conference tournament. I mean, you have Alabama, who's going to have to play on Thursday and win 4 games, but they could do it. And same with LSU. Those are 2 good teams that have fallen on some hard times here and there. But they were both top 10 at one point. So you got to watch out for them. I just think the race for the conference championship is going to be interesting, the regular season, because obviously Auburn has to go. I believe they have to go to Rupp to play Kentucky. So if Kentucky wins, they might split it. Who knows what could happen? So you have 6 locks for the tournament all the way through LSU, Florida, and I guess Mississippi State. They're both bubble teams that are out. And Florida is the only team out of those 2 I think that could get in. They're going to have to make a run. And right now they'd have to play Auburn in their second game. So I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's really the only team out of this conference that's out or even on the bubble at all that could play their way in through the conference tournament. So this conference is very top heavy.
And for the last conference of the video, we have the West Coast Conference, and obviously Gonzaga is a lock already. Kind of the St. Mary Gales, just because they're in that West Coast Conference, don't really play too many teams. They will probably get in, but as an 8 or a 9, unless they beat Gonzaga. Obviously, that's a huge win. But San Fran and BYU are the 2 teams to look out for here, as they're really going to make a push to get into the tournament. We've seen BYU kind of be on the bubble since the first bracketology, I feel like. Kind of same with San Fran. Those 2 teams are really the only 2 teams that can legitimately steal a bid I think. Those other, 6 teams, I don't think they have a shot. Especially, because someone's got to play Gonzaga every game. If Gonzaga were to lose, it would be to St. Mary's, San Fran, or BYU. But I just don't see it happening. But hey, stranger things have happened, and it is March. And that'll be it for our video today. If you liked it, hit that like button. Comment below who you guys think will steal a bid or potentially could steal a bid. And make sure you subscribe to be entered into our 100 subscriber giveaway. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.
She never called back.